here's the really neat thing about this old shit though. This new stuff's easy. When you're moving and working and so on and so forth, and you want to stop, it just stops. And you can trust the mechanical nature of the machine to work like it's supposed to. But like, you take these drive chains right here, you get working on hills. A lot of the old machines, they had eyes welded on the fucking undercarriage, and they would, winch them down off the hills and hold on to them with other machines, because if one of these pins broke and came out, you lost all of your machine's capability to hold itself back. It just turns into a fucking rocket ship on rails. And this is how you would tighten up the drive chain right here. You'd back that lock nut off, and then you just turn the adjuster accordingly, tighten or loosen it as needed. And that slid right here, it's like a slack adjuster on a regular, modern machine, but it moves the sprocket end, and that's how you would adjust your travel chains. On the other end, there's an idler adjuster too, just like on the newer machines. If you look right here, you'll notice that the track sprockets are a lot different than modern machines as well. They have a tumbler design, but inside of here is little rollers, and each track pad is built with a sprocket basically in the casting process, or however the fuck they built them. But they would just grab that and roll around there as it walked. And each pin and bushing is removable. You just undo the bolts, you pull that pin, you put a new roller in there, and you can do all that shit. And if you look right here, you can see you got to equalize the adjusters as you use them. It's not just a one-sided thing. So you want to make sure that they're square to the machine and not cockeyed, and equally advanced so that it's engaging everything properly, so you don't have uneven wear.
Are the cast sprockets more susceptible to breaking?
Probably. Like this is, well, it's not something you hear about so much anymore, but back in the day, you weren't supposed to dig over your finals. Right. This is why. Is you're digging, especially with a cable hoe, by nature of the bucket not having a curl cylinder, you're always digging up under yourself. Right. So typically it's a, something you try to avoid, digging inside the 90-degree angle of the boom and stick. With these, you had to get a full bucket and to hang on to it. So you're always digging up underneath yourself. Well, you hit one of these sprockets or hit one of these chains, you break them, you're fucked. You're down for the day, until you can get it fixed. So it used to be really important to not dig over your finals. You still shouldn't dig over your finals with modern machines too, but so if you can see, there's brake bands on each side, and there's travel clutches on each side, and there's a series of levers that go up through the center of the machine, and you use them accordingly. So as you're traveling, to turn, you pull on a lever, and that engages that brake. They're external contracting brake bands. You can see this is the brake band right here. The liner's up inside. And this right here, that's called your travel lock, your travel pawl, P-A-W-L. And what that does is that you shove a lever, and that puts that pawl up against that cog. And as you're digging, you don't pull through the brakes. And they're one-way, two-way, full-on lock. So like if you're with a shovel on there, as you're engaging the face of the cut with a shovel, it wants to push the machine away. So you would have it engaged so that lock cannot push you away. Because you'll notice, I don't know if you can get a view of this, but that pawl, there's a piece just like this on top that engages the cog on the other side.
Sure.
That locks it both ways. So like if you're digging a ditch with a pull shovel or a backhoe on there, you set it up one way. So up here you have all the control linkages. Some are for the clutches, some are for the brakes. I'll explain the clutches and brakes a little bit more as we go along here, but you've got all kinds of fancy stuff, swing brake, swing hoist, and all kinds of shit going on there. So you just got a 6-cylinder gas engine, real simple. You got a clutch here on the end. It's a master clutch that goes to the drive chain. There's a series of 3 chains in there. And out of that, hold on, let me open this up. Give you some better light so you can see in there. So out of that drive chain, or drive case chain, it goes to the shaft here, which powers both the hoist and dump cable drums. And then there's a gear that comes down through and it turns. This is a swinger down here. So as you can see, you got this is the left hand clutch, and that's the right hand clutch. I say right hand, left hand. It's you're like swinging to the left, swinging to the right, because they're reversible.
Sure.
Then you got a pinion gear down there. This over here is your transmission. This is for the forward reverse. So, which I can't remember which way it goes, but when this slides in, this internal expanding clutch opens up, it catches the inside of that drum, it turns that shaft, which if this is the forward gear, that drives us forward. If this one engages, it goes into reverse. It's all adjustable. There's little jam nuts and stuff like that in there, and all that fancy horse shit. And if you see, notice how it's called the drum lagging, but what it is, the drum diameter, like what the cable sits on, is these are different lagging. This is called the backhoe lagging, and they were different diameters. So the circumference changes the speed of the cable. So this one's bigger and that one's smaller. So one moves faster than the other.
Okay.
On a crane, you would typically have the same size lagging. It was either 8 or 10 inch lagging, but you always ran them the same. So like if you was running a clamshell, when you'd pull your closing and holding lines, they would come up equally. You didn't have to adjust each lever differently to pull them at different speeds.
Okay.
Whereas this, because you're digging and your cables are running in and out, and your boom hoist is, they act differently. So the speed is adjusted accordingly, and it's all engineered. You know, back in the 40s, 50s, 60s,
Right.
These guys, engineers, had slide rules, and they would calculate diameters to figure out line pull speeds and things like that. Also with a smaller drum, because this is a smaller drum, it goes to the dipper, which is what pulls the bucket in. That's smaller, which I'm pretty sure that gives you more line pull.
Sure.
A smaller sheave, a smaller drum gives you more capacity, so it gives you more power. Aside from like your track controls, like you had, you know, your levers for your track controls and your transmission on the other side, but the track, or excuse me, the house was identical, and you could unbolt them and put them on other machines. Or not other machines, but you could put it on another undercarriage. Like this machine has 5 positions. Right now it's all the way in, so you can, you know, get as full of a bucket as you can get. Digging out of a face, things like that. But if you're, you know, digging a really, you want a vertical hole, you know, you would take, you know, pull this bolt out.
What year is this?
1961, serial number 10,610. And the truck mounted one that I have is 10,534. They're really close. Yeah. Yep, they're both sold by Atlantic Tug and Machine, which was an equipment dealership. They sold Coring and Bantam a long time ago, and a bunch of other stuff too, but they were out of like Syracuse, New York, and serviced a lot of the bigger lakes and things like that.
Is Bantam the same as Coring, or is it?
So Bantam was bought out by Coring in like 1973.
Okay.
So in early 70s anyways, I'd have to look for sure, but yeah, Coring bought Bantam out then, and they kept these going for a little while, and then they kind of discontinued them, and then Coring just kind of did their own thing. But
if I can do this with one hand. Oh.
You get her fired up, and then I'll flip that fucking son of a bitch. Just took the master out of it.
Nice.
That's why you always carry them. drive shafts come out of this gearbox. Inside of this, there's like a hydraulic jaw clutch,
right?
Whereas that's mechanical. It's just, they're two clutch faces, and when you shove these levers, they go together. Well, there's like a face on teeth, and they mesh together and they play.
Right.
And that's why they call them a jaw or a knuckle buster, because when you shove that in, if you don't shove it all the way in, them fucking levers will sit there and clatter like that, and they'll beat the shit out of your hands.
Huh.
But out of all these drive shafts, okay, so like one of these, like this one down here, goes to the circle side shift. This one here goes to the front wheels. That's for the steering. That's a hydraulic cylinder for that. Out of this one here, I believe this one here goes to the blade's turn. And inside that down, it goes to a bunch of gearboxes, and up there in the front, it goes to a gearbox and it comes back. And then there's a fucking gear where the fucking drive motor is, and that's what turns the circle. This one is the left lift cylinder, or left lift tank. It goes all the way up through to that gearbox up front, and that big rod comes back here to lift crank back here. This right side does the thing on the right side. Whereas that one over there, it's all mechanical.
Huh.
So they're more apt to kick the shit out of you than anything else.
Starts right up. Unbelievable.
So, this fucking thing's fine all the time.
I don't want to stand too close to it.
Huh?
I don't want to stand too close to it.
Don't get too close. But there's a foot brake over here.
Yeah.
You gotta like hold, like, or it'll just rock.
Huh. Man, that's dangerous as hell.
Stay back and I'll run it right up and over.
Yeah.
So you can see it.
Wow.
Once it breaks that plumb point in
Yeah.
vertical, you gotta let off of both the brake and the clutch to let it go over, but then you gotta catch it with the brake once it gets down there, or you'll drop it. Like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then it'll winch itself back across. Huh. I'll be damned.
Dude, isn't that fucking nuts?
What's that, a 1 yard bucket?
I don't know, maybe. There's a tag on the back. My hands are off the controls if you want to look.
It doesn't say. It's a little baby bucket though. It's probably about all it can handle, I guess.
It's pretty fucking wild though.
It could take half a day to load a truck with it.
You can fucking get it cruising though. But you figure, you look at what they had back then,
Yeah.
this thing was like fancy fucking shit.
Yeah, somebody brought this out to a job in 1946 and they were like, what the fuck am I looking
But
at?
they were probably proud of the peacock of it too, though.
Yeah.
Because you probably some poor bastard was loading mule wagons with a fucking shovel. Like a hand shovel.
Huh. Well, you want to go move some dirt with it?
Let's go.
All right.
Meet you over